Hello everyone, thanks for watching Agri Talk. Today we're going to be talking about how you can protect your berry crop as this summer comes upon to keep them away from those pesky birds. So we'll be right back.
So that didn't sound very friendly. You want to
No.
take the food away from the birds.
Taking the food away from the birds, that's right, absolutely. You know, it's that time of season, it's summer, all of the berry crops, you know, when I say berry crops, like the blueberries, raspberries, things like that.
Do they hit the strawberries?
Well, I guess they would, yeah, but typically they're fairly covered. A lot of times the berries are covered by the leaves and stuff, and then they're right on the ground, so usually they don't hit them as hard. So, but the other ones, they're on vines and they're up in the air, and you can just see the crop just hanging there. So they like to pick it right before it's right, just right before we like to get it.
Okay.
So that's the problem with it, and especially if you're doing research on a research farm like we have. You really don't want them birds getting that fruit, because otherwise, you know, we have no data.
Right, you can't measure the input and the output and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's lots of different ways that you can try to protect and keep these birds away. And there's people that do what's called like an air cannon, and they sometimes they hook it up to like a propane tank. And it'll
sounds like a shotgun.
Yeah, it sounds like a shotgun.
And if you ever go to like wine territory.
Yeah, exactly. They have them in there.
Because you couldn't, I don't know that you could do what you're talking about on that large of a scale.
True.
That side of a mountain.
Yeah, that is a lot of work. But you know, I guess I'm not sure how large of a farm would do this, but I do know that they do that. But those air cannons, they work for a while. And they tend to, the birds get used to it.
They learn. It's like they're
It's about
joking.
time to go off. Yeah, yeah. And if you have neighbors close by, neighbors don't like it very well at all. So especially in the middle of the night, you know, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden you hear boom. You know,
the birds don't roost
an hour
at night?
later. Oh, well, no. Sometimes you forget to turn the cannon off.
Oh, okay.
And it just keeps running all day, all night. So that's not a good thing. But we've got some pictures that I brought from the center, and what we've got is, this is just a overview of the farm, and in the bottom left corner we've got a little greenhouse there that it's just a temporary one that we bring plants from the greenhouse out to that, just to trying to get them hardened off, and a lot of times we may have strawberries setting there, but those are already in the field, and this time of day, it's, you know, or this time of the season, they're already picked. But our next picture shows we just put over netting, the blue stuff. That is a young planting of blueberries. And when I mean young, they're only, you know, some of those plants may not even be a foot tall. But they may have, they may have 1 or 2 pieces of fruit on them. And that's where we still want to be able to say, oh, you know, in that plant is 3 years old, but it's only a foot tall, but it may have, you know, 2 blueberries on it.
So you're counting them too?
Yeah. We still need to know how that particular plant is, and then, you know, they'll do maybe measure height of that plant. We also still do, you know, fertigation studies and things like that. So we need to know what that plant produces.
Well, this also, is it fine enough to like keep out insects that would attack leaves?
No, no, they would not.
Okay.
You know, a fly. We'll just say a fly can go through that.
But, like grasshoppers and things
they can go through that, no problem.
Cicadas, or you know.
Yeah, the holes in these nettings are, you know, a marble.
Okay.
A marble can about a marble size. I'll say, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then some you can get a little finer, but you know, on that particular one. Now that one covers the entire area, so we're not covering rows. Now used to we cover rows, and we've got a video we'll show later here about, I took it in the wintertime about taking the row cover off, but it's the same principle. I wanted to show how the row cover, it just covers per row.
Right.
But now people are covering the entire area, or that maybe not the entire field. Maybe they might cover 8 rows, and then there'll be maybe another 8 rows or something like that. And the reasoning behind that, it's just because it's easier to go in there and work. When you're in there and if it's a row, it's just hard to raise the net up and try to go underneath there and try to pick and things like that. So as you can see, like
and you probably got a way to get in there.
Yeah. Well, we just on the ends the netting is staked down, just like little tent stakes, little metal hooks.
Right.
So we just pull them up and go under the net, and then go harvest or go do whatever measurements we need to do, and that's how that works.
How does this handle the wind?
Very well. I mean, we've already had several storms.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
And no trouble yet. Now, obviously, if you have, we'll say trees close by, that branches or something could fall out of any size.
Right.
That's going to probably rip that netting. Okay, so that could be a problem. And when a little closer, if we got a little closer up on that, you'll see that we have some holes that we've patched. So we just, we'll just cut a little larger piece of netting and basically just kind of sew it on there. Just kind of take some small twine and cover up that hole or a rip or whatever, because otherwise birds find every hole in a netting that you can possibly find.
They're hungry too.
Absolutely, they want to get in there, and sometimes we have to go in and chase them out.
Oh, so they'll get trapped in there.
Yeah, they'll go in and they have no idea how to get out. But in the meantime, while they're in there, they're very fat. So, usually when they come out, we should weigh them too.
Yeah.
So, but
would they need water, or they just get enough moisture?
The birds would get enough moisture from the fruit itself, because there's a lot of water in that.
Right.
And then with the way our weather is going right now, there's plenty of puddles in there too.
Right.
So no worries about that. But I think the other thing about the netting that we have there, you've seen a green one and a white one. We also look at how you store it, and also how the sun would degrade that particular netting. Okay, so it does lots of things. We have lots of studies like that, or data that we collect. You just look at it and go, oh, it's netting, things like that. But we also want to, see, well, how long will that netting last you? Because it's not
how many
cheap.
Seasons? Yeah.
Yeah, how many seasons? Right, because we'll take it off. And the green one we wrap up on the post, on the corner posts. So they wrap them up and they leave them and they cover them in like a black plastic. So then they stay there year round. Versus the white ones we take in and store. Okay, and then you can see there on just to the left in the middle, you see the edge of the green one, and then there's a white one right beside of it. That's one of our older blueberry studies that's been around there since I have. It's been there for about 27 years now.
They've used that same stuff?
We have used the same type of netting when we originally started covering those individual rows, but this year we've started covering them multiple rows there. And then you see a couple rows on the outside of that white netting, and that is basically what we call guard rows. So those are kind of like bait for the birds, like stay out there, don't try to get in our netting.
You can have these, but not these in
right,
here.
Yeah, that, and then also it serves as a buffer in case we're spraying something beside of it. Those first rows we don't count. That's what we consider a guard. It's guarding our data on the inside.
Okay.
So typically outside rows we don't count because those could be susceptible to something we're doing just outside of it. So we keep our data in the middle.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if before you had this netting, if you used other things. You see people use tin pans.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any of that stuff that works if you can't afford the netting?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you would have to go to something like that. Otherwise, either that or you're in an area that doesn't have birds, but that's very few places. But yeah, anything out there to make noise, a lot of light flashing somehow, like those pans that you're talking about. Those sometimes they catch the sunlight, and that'll typically do some things as well.
Okay.
Lighting along with noise. I've seen people glue those pans together and put actually I've seen them put popcorn seed in there or corn, shelled corn in there, and when the wind blows, it rattles in that pan, and it'll make noise and scare them off. And if you do that in multiple places, kind of random in there, to where maybe some will make noise and some won't, that'll probably help as well. But one place, and I would suggest moving it around a lot.
Right.
Otherwise, they just get used to that one, just like that air cannon. Unless you move that cannon around a day or less, birds will just ignore it.
Yeah, they're smart too.
So, yeah, it doesn't take them long, man. They're on it pretty quick.
Is it expensive?
The netting? It is, I'm going to say it's a little pricey. The exact price obviously depends on how thick, what's the thickness. You can get multiple thicknesses of netting, different, thread count or whatever that's called. I'm not up on
like
netting.
gauge of wire.
Yeah, exactly, like gauge of wire. And then obviously the green or the white, you can get different UV resistant kind. So you would just have to consult with your local vendor on pricing. And then depending on how much obviously you would need, you may get a discount as well. But if you only need, enough for 3 or 4 plants, what I would look at is maybe even just going and getting sometimes a cargo net. That you could use something like that. Sometimes they are fairly fine, and you could use that. So, but that's one way. And then we have I think that's the only picture we got. Last pictures we got, but we have a video of what.
I was going to say it's hard to put on there, especially.
Yeah.
Say like if you've got grapes, they're above your head. How are you going to get that over?
How do you flop that over? Well, there's a machine that somebody made that puts the netting on and also takes it off. Now, I don't have a video of it putting on yet.
Just imagine it. Let's run it backwards.
Yeah, we're running. Yeah. Just think of running it backwards because that's exactly how it works.
Right.
We're getting ready to put it on now, so I haven't got that footage yet.
Right.
But I have footage of us taking it off in the past year. So we'll have Patrick go ahead and play this video. And at the beginning, it's just a little choppy, but what we're doing here, the farm manager and a helper there is getting the ends of the netting and trying to put them together and tie them together on this, we're going to call it a netter getter, okay? And it's going to roll up the netting on the right there. You see a spool, like a big spool of string, and what it does is we'll tie that together from a previous row, and then above is an arm that is above the grapes, okay, and it will spool and pull this netting up, and then roll it up for you and everything. So you'll see here in just a moment how this works.
So you bought this machine, you didn't have to fabricate it.
Correct. Yeah, you can buy this machine. They found it. It was fairly new because when we contacted them, they were like, "Oh, you're a research? Yeah, we would like to even work with you." So we've done some demonstrations with it to help understand it, how it goes. So here, see the pole at the top. As you get ready to go, it'll just rolls this netting up, and what it does is it uses the tractor's PTO on the back and rolls that wheel back there. And as it goes along, you have to go slow because otherwise you just rip the netting. Okay? No, it'll as you go along here. I just got behind it to watch, to see it as it goes through. It just pulls it up real slow. You just have to go slow with the tractor. It pulls it up, rolls it down, rolls it into like a little string or a ball, a rope if you would, and then just rolls it up on the spool there as you go along. So, and takes, if you've got a lot of rows like this is, the only way to do it. And then just think of it, it's the exact opposite when you're putting it on, okay? So you would
And these are grapes.
these
right?
these are grapes. Yeah, at the end of the season, as you could see that how they were, they had coats on and stuff. It was really chilly outside, but you have to wait until then. Otherwise, the leaves and everything, because they'll grow into the netting, you can't pull it off. It sticks to it. You'll end up ripping the net. So
Right.
you have to wait until all of the green is gone, basically.
So would you have already harvested the grapes?
Yes,
before?
the grapes would already been harvested. Yes.
Okay, and so you can just flip it up
Yeah,
and do that?
yeah, you just pull it up and snip off the grapes as
Okay.
you go. Yep, absolutely. And then here's the end of it as they come to an end of a row, and you just have to have it prepared and ready, and then it just continues rolling it up. So. And again, like that, Lynn's there trying to just get it off of the vines where it was still attached, how those little branches and things. So, and then here it is, a little. As he went along. This is the first season that we used it. Wayne there is getting used to. He's understanding more how to use it, how fast and how fast he can go to pull it off, and it works. So. It ended up working pretty decent. We were kind of impressed with the way it were operated, and then you're supposed to be able to do the exact opposite, and put netting over your grapes for this trial anyway. But yeah, and then as you can see down through there, it pulls it up way ahead, and then sometimes it would help if somebody's ahead of you. And maybe some of those vines those green leaves maybe not are still hooking it. If somebody's ahead of you and just kind of helps pull that off, obviously you'll be able to go a lot quicker. As you can see, he's moving along there at a pretty good clip. And what happened was Lynn was ahead of him there and just kind of pulling it loose from the plant a little bit more. So he was able to go a little quicker.
Grapes, they got those little curly cues that grab things.
Absolutely.
I imagine they would grab that too.
Yes. Yeah, it sure will. Yeah. Yep. That's for sure. But this is just a little bit more. This is as we're going around, and
you got to do the sides.
Yeah, I should say this was another study. So instead of laying it completely over top, we laid it on one side as well. So now he's going around the row to pick it up on the sides. So, and it's the same principle. It all applies the same way. But as you see, he just made the turn and then going back down the row again. So lots of different ways. We're always looking for ways to help the farmer, and especially this is labor intensive. If you don't have a machine like this, it takes a lot of hands to put all that stuff up there. And depending on if you have acres of it. We have a very small plot, I'll call it, and then obviously you can't do this if there's a hoop house over it.
All right.
We now have installed a hoop house over some of the grapes just to see if we can extend the season of the grapes and to make it an earlier season for grape harvest or a later season. So that way we can get more prime value.
So with the strawberries, they've been picked.
Strawberries are picked.
Is there another season of those? Or is that done?
No, you could get another season. A lot of times matted row comes on late. And when I say matted row, that just looks like a whole cover. It looks like a rug. It's all green. There's no rows. Like you couldn't walk, there's no row right in the middle of it. Or, the strawberries that we plant are on a black plastic.
Right.
So the rows are about 2 feet wide or so, and there's 2 plants alternate each other.
Because I saw Christie had people come in and pick, and they're done.
They're done. Yeah, right.
So I wasn't sure if there's another go at them or not.
No, a lot of times these rows are, they come on early. So right now, if there was a strawberry producer that had matted row strawberries, typically they might be harvesting still because they come on a little later, just because the matted rows sometimes don't produce real quick because the sun, everything's covering them.
Right.
Takes a little longer. But this is like I said, this was a trial. It seems to work really well. So if you're a farmer out there and you have grapes, and I'm assuming you could use them on other crops. Right now we've only used them on grapes this way, but the other ones we've covered by hand. So, and that's really the extent of what we have for netting and our process. So right now our crop is coming on. So we'll have blueberries probably next week.
Okay.
So, and this is the end of the end of June almost. So we'll have blueberries coming on, and then we may have them for maybe 2 weeks or so.
How does this year in 2019 we've had a very wet spring, summer. How does that affect berries?
Well, it did affect the.
'Cause then corn kind of likes it dry.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I think grapes kind of like it dry.
They do. Typically, you plant grapes on a bank. Usually, the grapes are not in flat ground or low ground.
Right. Well drained.
They're on a good drained area. A lot of times, it'll be on a little slope anyway.
Right.
But yes, you're absolutely right. They do not like water. They, probably one of the least ones that like water, I should say. Strawberries. The strawberry this season this year did not go well because it was so cool this spring. And also last fall, or as they planted them, they planted the crop last fall. Then they'll cover them up and things, and the weather did not. It was too cold, and then too damp this spring coming on right before crops.
Yeah, because a lot of times it'll be cool.
Yeah.
And wet, and then next thing you know, bang! It's hot and dry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the way it has them the last few years. Just
Unfortunately,
we're going to have spring, and now it's late summer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's still raining here, and there's a lot of our, just to say, not even our berry crop, but even our farmers alone, they're not able to plant.
Or even cutting hay.
Yeah, it's true.
You can't cut the hay and let it sit.
Yep, you've lost the season of hay.
Right.
Some people are not baling at all. Some of them people cannot plant, so they're going to take some disaster funds, things like that. So I would come back this fall. You're going to see grain be pretty high. I'm going to say the grain crop value is going to go up.
Unless they planted rice.
Yeah, exactly, planting in rice. But our crops are not doing well, I'll say. We're not getting the yield out of them.
Right.
So we were lucky to be able to get all of our field crops in. Wayne mudded in some of the last ones just to get them in, to make sure we're there for our research trials. We have a couple of hoop houses out in the field, as you've seen in those pictures. And when I say hoop house, it's just a cover. There's no heat in there.
Plastic?
Right, it's just a plastic house. And Patrick, if you go to the second, keep going two more pictures. And then one more, sorry. You'll see the structures out there. They're covered in plastic, but there's no heat, there's no, cooling, there's no electric. The only cooling is roll up the sides. And as you can see there on the sides, they're up. So that allows airflow and all that stuff. But the principle of being covered is here in our area, so we can be able to, that crop's going to warm up quicker in the spring and start growing.
Right.
And we'll be able to maybe pick a week or two ahead of some of the other people, and then that week or two ahead will give us, we can ask prime money for that. Versus right now you can buy strawberries for like 99 cents for a basket. But when they came on, if they're covered in plastic and stuff, from the farmer, they'll get $3 or $4 or $5 out of them right away because they're the first ones out there.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for that, and that gives the farmer great dollars to be able to expand or whatever they need to do. So if that works,
Anything else going on at the farm? You
right.
got pawpaws going on?
We do have pawpaws coming on. Well, I shouldn't say they're coming on. The trees are growing. They're only maybe
And the
3
trees
feet
have
tall.
to, right, the trees got to
Yeah.
get a little older,
Yeah,
right?
we're not going to see pawpaws for 4 or 5 more years.
Right.
But the trees themselves will be there. We do have hops still growing on the farm.
That was the other thing. Birds and stuff don't mess with hops.
They
do
don't seem to mess with hops much. No, we don't cover them up at all.
Because you need a different machine to get it up and over that thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think in that last picture there that we just seen, you can see our hop yard in the back, kind of about maybe 9 or 9:30. If you was looking at a clock, you
Right,
see
that-
post back there, and that's our crop. And this picture was just taken last Friday, I think it was. So this is the main area of our hort. There's just a little to the left that's not on the picture. From you could see it on one of the others, but everything out there, we have goji berries, we have obviously we had some strawberries, we have in some of the greenhouse or the hoop houses there, we actually have some corn growing. And that's for another project that we can't talk about a whole lot right now because it's still under experiment.
Okay.
But we have other things there. We actually on one of those hoop houses we have some trees. We have cherry trees that we put underneath some, and then we have what is. Don't you love it when just words escape you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just out of the picture there, kiwi, but it's not the normal kiwi that you're thinking.
It's like mini kiwis?
Yeah, it's like little. They look about the size of a large grape, maybe, and they're called hardy kiwi, or that's what that's what they're telling me so far.
Yeah, being
I'm
hardy
not-
and
yeah,
cold resistant, right?
right. So there, we'll have data from that soon, and so lots of things going on. As long as we can get the weather to agree a little bit.
And your fish are
need-
fine.
All the fish love this weather. As far as rain, the ponds are. It's a good thing we have an overflow, or otherwise, them ponds would be flowing over by now.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have a greenhouse attached to our research building, and that we have aquaponics in there, and then we also have just straight not. There it goes again. It escaped me. Gone.
Yeah,
We have one that we have fish in, and the other one is just straight water.
Okay.
Those are interesting actually to see and track a little bit. And we've got some. We're taking photos in there as they go. And boy, that one bay that has fish in it, it is just growing plants like you wouldn't believe, much faster than the ones that we're just using just water to grow them.
Or artificial fertilizers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean the fish are fertilizing. So, yeah.
All right.
So we're about out of time.
We're it.
That's
That's it. That's
it, yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
So thanks for hanging in there and watching Agri Talk, and we'll see you next month.